I'm going to talk about the most important drug dealers in the history. The first one that I'm going to mention is Joaquin El Chapo Guzman. Is the kingpin of the Sinaloa cartel, the source of the largest percentage of drugs imported into the United States every year: cocaine, marijuana, methamphetamine, and heroin, all delivered by the thumb through elaborate land and air distribution channels. Guzman same fate for the drug trade. His uncle was one of the most original Mexican drug smugglers, and young Joaquin was soon involved in the family business. He rose the he rose to prominence in the cartel quickly, as internecine fight claimed rivals both within a cartel and without. In 2006, violating a pact between cartels, Guzman ordered an assassination that disrupted what, what has come to be referred to as the Mexican Drug War. His conflicts between cartels has resulted in over 600 deaths and 1,200 kidnappings along the way. Guzman has become a billionaire and one of the most powerful men in the world. If one man could be said to present, if one man could be said to represent the idea of a drug keeping, that one man will be Pablo Escobar. While running the Medellin cartel out of Colombia in the 80s, in the 70s and 80s, while running ruthless tactics ensure a still flow of cocaine into America. Some sources estimate that 80% of the cocaine import into the country came through Escobar enterprises. Neither some 15 tons per day at its peak. Escobar became one of the world's richest men, with an estimated worth of nearly 10 billion in her fortune, through eliminating rivals and arresting corruption within the Colombian government. Officials who didn't bow the breed often meant violent ends. He assassinated candidates for office, judges, police officers, and reporters. He planted a bomb on an airplane to kill candidate to president. The candidate was not on the plane, but 110 innocent people were. A unlimited Escobar will be responsible for the death for over 400 people, 4,000 people. Escobar's acts of domestic terrorism eventually turned public opinion against him, despite his attempts to court public favor with philanthropic activity. By the time he gone down one in 1993, while flipping across to rooftops from government soldiers. His reputation was a riddle, with holes as his dead body. His friend, however, was out to live him. Then, we're going to talk about Griselda Blanco. Not all drug keeping are men. One of the most ruthless drug queenpins of all times was Griselda Blanco, nicknamed La Madrina, or the Godmother. Blanco was one of the key figures in the Medellin cartel and has been credited with being a mentor to Escobar, who will eventually become her enemy. Blanco first made her name by developing bras and grills designed to hide snatch cocaine. She left Colombia in the early 70s and settled in Queens, New York, where she set up large scale operation in 1975. She was indirect when the government intercepted a huge cocaine slipment. Blanco fled back to Colombia, but it wasn't long before she returned this time to Miami. In the 80s, Blanco painted Miami with white and red, white with cocaine and red with blood of drug rebels. One of the favorite methods include drive-by shooting via motorcycle. Miami experiences a wave of Blanco-related crime, include a submachine gun at a mall. Blanco instituted anywhere between 40s and 250s.
Around 3000 BC, some opiates were already used. In Asia, hemp, in America, coca leaves as analgesic, or in Aztec society, some fungi such as peyote. Although it is not known exactly what was the first drug that was used, alcohol is among the first since it is likely that when the honey was stored and it fermented, the first wine was produced. Since then, fermented beverages have been consumed throughout history, becoming an important colonial trade. Opium is the use of a type of poppy, and there are records that its psychotropic functions were known as early as 3000 BC. On the other hand, cannabis originated in Central Asia. Thanks to archaeological records, we can know that cannabis was already used as a source of textile fibers in 4000 BC. Its hallucinogenic properties were probably discovered for the first time in the East. Of some Chinese writing of 3000 years ago indicated that hemp taken in excess makes monsters look, and that if it is used for a long time, it can communicate with spirits and lighten the body. Currently, cannabis is one of the most widely used drugs worldwide in the form of marijuana, hashish, and hashish oil. In America, the use of coca as a stimulant dates back to 5000 BC. The coca plant grew wild until the 10th century. It began to be cultivated by the Indians of Colombia, who spread in the south. In the Inca culture, it was used as a sacred plant in rituals. In addition, as a powerful stimulant, the coca leaf was chewed by the workers to mitigate the effects of derived from altitude, hunger, or fatigue, and as a medicine of gastrointestinal discomfort, colds, of bruises. Coca was not exported to other places until the Spanish arrived in the 16th century and were surprised by the effect. In the case of tobacco, the first evidence of existence dates from the Mayan culture in approximately 2000 BC, although it was likely that it was already present in the ancient organization of the East. When the Spanish conquerors arrived in Haiti, they saw their possible therapeutic victories and moved it to the old continent, also in 16th century exporting it to Prussia and the Philippines, and from there to China. For its part, Portugal exported to Italy, Africa, Java, India, Japan, and Iran. But the drug with more addiction across the planet is caffeine. Although the plant existed thousands years ago in Ethiopia, its diffusion began in Arabia in the 10th century. Legend has it that monks, observing how excited the animals were after eating their fruits, decided to them. In the 18th century, coffee spread throughout Europe, producing 70 world production.